Hello everyone, it's Tana. Welcome back to the Rabbit Hole Designs YouTube channel. Today we are going to do part 2 of unique ways to use pattern paper for the holidays. So here I'm just picking out of some patterns I have left in the paper pack. Now I never realized it was so hard to draw a equal triangle. I'm making Christmas trees. I'm sure some of you guessed that. And I wanted to just do pretty simple cards. And I know you guys all know it's difficult for me to do clean and simple cards. They weren't too clean and simple, but they were more simple than I usually do. So I did a whole bunch of different size triangles, long, short. I didn't go really past 2.5 or 2.25 inches at its widest towards the bottom of the tree, and some of them as small as 3/4 of an inch wide at the base. So this is what I came up with. I didn't vary too much on the different types of pattern paper, and sorry, a little short of breath. I am definitely sick, and if you hear that wind, I apologize. Not much I can do about it. We have quote-unquote gale force winds right now. Okay, so catching up with the video, you saw me using some different Copic markers there to color scrap strips of cardstock so I can cut trunks for my trees later on. You don't have to cut trunks if you prefer to do the trees without them. And now I'm taking some colors that kind of match the pattern paper. I believe it was Garden Party, Lumberjack Plaid, and Cummerbund. So 2 Cast and Puller inks and 1 Distress ink, excuse me. And I was aiming for an aura of color behind the trees. That's why you'll see me kind of lay them out and see where I need to add more color. So, man, if you can hear that wind, it's really just blowing and knocking things around out there. Okay, so here we are on the last panel. And you'll notice I did 2 slimline cards in this video. It's because I realized I have not done a slimline card in forever. I can't even remember the last slimline card I made. So this one's going to be landscape. And we're just going to put that straight across. The color straight across. And this one's going to have more trees because it has more space. So now I'm going to glue. First I started out with double-sided adhesive to put the trunks on the bottom of the trees. And I used different size scraps, so some of the trunks are narrower than others. Anyway, it ended up being that using liquid glue was faster than using the double-sided adhesive, so I ended up switching to that. And here I am doing the last trunks for that 3rd card. There will also be 2 trees on this card and 1 tree on each of the other cards that are popped up on foam tape, just to give a little bit of dimension. So there goes the clean and simple right out the window, guys. Like I said, I can never totally stick to it. Don't know why, it's just not me. I can try and I can get close, but I never really pull off clean and simple. So now I'm going to adhere my trees to their card panels, their corresponding panels. And just the ones that are being glued straight to the card panel right now, not the ones with the foam tape. And we're just going to move along kind of like an assembly line, I guess. This would be another one if you weren't too choosy and too nitpicky with your triangles, where you could probably mass produce it. It would be even better if you had a couple triangle dies. I don't. Anyway, moving on. So now I'm going to adhere these trees, onto the landscape panel. And then we can move into the next bit of our cards. I was actually recording and my microphone died. Yes, very frustrating. So I'm going to take the Marion Bright from the Marion Bright wreath stamp set, and we're going to stamp that out 3 times with VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I'm using my Cottontail powder tool first because we're going to heat emboss with clear embossing powder over all of those sentiments, because I want to ink blend the panels with the corresponding cards that they're going on. But I did not add extra ink. I took the brushes that I used to ink blend on those card panels and just used what was left when I ink blended it onto the sentiment strips. See, these will all be cut out with the same sentiment strip, and it's rounded around the corners. Perfect size strip for that sentiment. I did go ahead and put double-sided adhesive around all 4 edges of every card panel, but I put glue in the center. And now we're just going to line those up and adhere them to their card bases. We have one more dimensional item to add to each card, and that is the sentiment strips. I decided to pop those up on foam tape as well. I do really love the colors in those trees and the color choices I made for the back and the panels behind the trees as well. But I do love that lumberjack plaid. That is officially the first time I've used it. Love it. It's like Festive Berries up until now was my favorite. Red tone, but now this is my favorite. Okay, so now we're going to adhere all the foam tape trees for added dimension. We've got 2 on this one. Then the sentiment, which we will add some glue to the foam tape and then use our T-square ruler to make sure that's nice and straight up there. And I put it where I put it, say that 3 times fast, on that panel because there was a little bit of smudge from glue at the tip of my tree. So I had to cover that up. Now we're going to adhere that foam tree there, or that foam tape tree, and the sentiment I decided to put right up in the white space, and I like the way it looks up there. I also had decided or debated over embellishing, and did it, guys. Broke down and did it. Another point against clean and simple, I know. And there's our last foam tape tree, and our last sentiment. And you see that tree off to the right there. I was fiddling with the idea of putting another tree on there and decided against it. Let me know in the comments below if you would have added that 4th tree to the green card. And here are all 3 cards with their added embellishments. And we have one more fun, unique idea for pattern paper coming right up. So unfortunately, I did not leave myself 2 of the same type of pattern paper. I mean, they're the same type. They're just not the same colors, which is fine. You guys will see how to put it together, and that's all that matters. So we're going to take 2 6x6 pieces of pattern paper. You're going to score the 2 sides and the bottom at 1 3/8, and then the top at 3/4 of an inch. And you're going to do that for both pieces of pattern paper. So 1 3/8 for both sides and the bottom, 3/4 of an inch for the top. So here I'm showing you the folded or the scored pieces. Now we're going to go ahead and reinforce all those score lines with our bone folder. Can anybody guess what we're making yet? I did this quite a few years ago on my channel with 12 by 12 pieces of pattern paper, so this was interesting to do with smaller pieces. Now you're going to take your blade or your scissors or whatever you want to use. On 1 piece of pattern paper, you're going to trim out all those corners, the 4 corners, right at the score lines. It makes the marks for you when you score them. So those 4 corners where the score lines had intersected, you're just going to trim all those out on the first piece. Of course, the top ones are going to look a little different because the top lining of the thing we're making is a smaller measurement. Now for the second piece, on the bottom score lines, we're going to go just slice across at the top of that intersecting square. And for the top of the bag, you're going to slice vertical at the top of the bag. Now we're going to glue that top. Oh, I just gave away what it was. Darn it. You're going to glue that top flap down on both pieces. Yes, we're making a miniature gift bag, okay? Did any of you guess what it was before I gave up the answer? Let me know in the comments below. Now we're going to glue the bottom of the bag to the bottom of the other side of the bag. Just like so. And I'm burnishing all that together with my bone folder as I glue. You could use double-sided adhesive as well. I have in fact done that, but the glue makes it easier to maneuver stuff around into the right position. Now you're going to put glue on both those flaps in the middle, which is going to become the bottom of the bag, and you're going to glue first one side and then the other to that flap. And both those sides from the same side of the same bag side, not the one with the two flaps hanging up, but the other one. Now we're going to take the sides of that other side of the bag. We're going to fold those two top flaps backwards so we don't accidentally glue them, and we're going to line them up with all the edges of the side of the bag. And then we're going to burnish them with the bone folder. Make sure that top edge, I guess that top edge is most important because you'll be folding those flaps inside, toward the inside of the bag and gluing them. Just like so. And now we're going to put a handle on. So I took my little mini ruler here, and it's a 1/2 inch wide. So I just lined up that top edge with the top edge of my bag on the inside and measured 1 inch in from each edge of the bag and did that on both long sides of the bag. So we have 4 dots here, 4 marked measurements. I'm going to go in with my round hole punch and try to center those dots into the center of my hole punch. 1 punch for each dot. Now you can use anything you want here: twine, embroidery thread, ribbon, wide ribbon, thin ribbon. You can save the handles on old gift bags and trim them down. You can do whatever you want. I'm using ribbon, pink, I forget what this stuff is called, but it's got those little loops on the side of the ribbon. I'm knotting it so it doesn't go through the holes that I've punched. And I had cut my string too short, so I had to start again. And then I pulled it, and it went through my hole, so I had to add more knots. It's very hard to tie a knot in the same place over and over and over again. Did anybody ever notice that? I always struggle with that. But there we go, and they actually ended up being the same height, my handles. I was very proud of myself. And it's big. This bag is big enough to fit a full-size distress ink pad and a refill. That's it for today's video, guys. I have some photos coming up here. Don't forget to sign up for the Rabbit Hole Designs email. That way you can be aware of all new releases and maybe some surprise sales here and there. Also, you can check out the Rabbit Hole Designs in the Facebook group, Rabbit Hole Designs fan page. And you can also check out the Rabbit Hole Designs on Instagram, where the brand ambassadors have inspiration almost every single day of every month. We will see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like what you saw here today. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now, guys.